Hi, I'm Dave.
And I'm Jen. Welcome to Dave and Jen Ignite.
We're laughing because today's story, and it is a story,
Oh, yes.
is perhaps you've asked, how did they meet?
What are those two really like? Where did they come from? Well, today, he said it's a story, but it's a true story.
It is.
And
It is.
It's interesting.
It's how we met, and I'm wearing my high school letter jacket. Now, my lovely wife highlighted the fact
I think
that
it looks a little bit like a bolero. I mean, yeah.
I'm not quite the same weight I was, okay?
I don't think the styles must have been a little shorter or a little more fitted then because
I told her I was more
bolero.
fitted back then.
Well, there's that too. So I get to wear his jacket for the rest of this, okay? Those of you girls who went with a guy in high school, boy, wearing their letter jacket or their ring or something was always pretty snazzy. So
So I'm going to put on a different one.
yes. Now this is what his letter jacket looked like when he was in college, and he did a letter, and we'll get to some of those wonderful parts of the story here in just a little bit. So they didn't have letters for girls very much when I was in high school because they didn't have that many sports. I was on the dance team and so forth, and I was in the choirs, and now you get letters and acknowledgments for all of those. I just have wonderful memories, and it was great. I was on the track team too. I forgot about that. I was on the track team.
You were.
I was, yeah.
Yeah.
I used to be athletic.
Some of us are, and some of us try.
Sorry, that was an old joke from our family.
Anyway,
I really was athletic. I still am athletic. Anyway, go ahead, honey.
we have pledged that we try not to tell this story without the other one present because we don't remember all the pieces the same. Maybe you and your spouse have some stories that as you look back and you say, wait a minute, that's not what I remember. Well, we have some of that going on. So let's start. First of all, we met in high school.
Freshman year.
In high school. So we were...
I was probably 14. Let's see. Maybe almost 14.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have been 14 as we went into freshman year of high school.
Yeah.
So we've known each other a long time.
We've known each other, actually, let's see. So that's 47. I've known you 47 years, honey.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Aren't you lucky?
I
I'm so kidding. We are very blessed.
We are blessed. So we met in high school. We did not date each other initially.
No, but he was always really nice, and he was cute, and he looked great in his wrestling singlet. Say that fast 3 times.
So, and we went to in Indiana, Bloomington South High School. We were
Panthers.
Yes, we were the first freshman class to go back through there when the 2 high schools were split into Bloomington North and Bloomington South. And so we were wonderful friends at North.
Oh, absolutely. So, it was a good thing for the community to go to 2 high schools. It was very, very beneficial.
Yeah. So we didn't date until I went to church every now and then. I didn't go all the time. And so I went one Sunday, and our pastor, Elmer Riggs, love him, bless his heart, he and Maureen, said, young men and women, if you don't want to marry a non-Christian, then don't date one, because you're going to end up marrying one of those people that you date. And I was thinking, even though I probably would have told you I was a Christian, but I was not living a life of following Jesus Christ. I knew I wanted to marry a young lady who was the kind of nice young lady that would have been a Christ follower. So I surveyed the landscape. We were juniors in high school at that point. Surveyed the landscape, and I thought, who is living out the life of following Jesus Christ? I found her.
I always told him that I was the only Christian he knew, so he had to date me. He says that's not true, but yeah, whatever, Well, anyway,
she was the only person that I felt like, that I knew well enough anyway, to know about and actually lived it out. I mean, I knew other young ladies, other high school juniors and seniors and sophomores, etc. But she was one who was strikingly a follower of Jesus Christ.
That's very nice. And I would invite him to do things with our youth group and so forth. He had his own church, but there were some big activities, for a lot of community youth, and I would invite him to go along. And I did get him to come one time because there was food. It was free food, yes, and guitar playing, and we met in the park. We had burger. It was called the Burger Bash, and he did come to that. It was really fun.
Yeah.
So
Food.
Yeah.
If you feed them, they will come.
That's right. That's right.
And I think that's especially true for youth. I'm assuming that's still true for youth. You'll feed them, they'll come.
Yes.
And it was a great exposure to the gospel message and to people who were nice followers of Jesus Christ. So we dated for a while.
Not very long, really.
Wait,
No.
Go
ahead.
3 months. We dated for 3 months.
That's not very long. Well, maybe it is.
The longest I had ever dated anybody that I recall anyway. 3 months. That was a long time when you're a junior in high school. That was a pretty long time.
Not long enough. Anyway, he broke up with me and proceeded to date other people who I knew well. This is the part that he doesn't always like. I mean, was I a perfect angel? Of course not. Goodness gracious. I mean, I went to church and I'm thankful for that upbringing, but I was not a perfect angel either. And I went out with some other people too, but I still had a crush on him. I know it's interesting because we talk about this sometimes. I knew I probably shouldn't be dating someone who didn't love Jesus, but I did anyway. And I got hurt. But in the long run, after a while, we'll get back to that here in a minute, it turned out okay. But there's a lot of hurt there when you're not following what the Lord wants you to do. And even as a teenager, teens or parents of teens, encourage your kids to trust and follow the Lord and to make sure that you date people and hang around people who have the same values and the same beliefs that you do. Because it can be kind of hard. Let's just put it that way. Yeah.
I mean, bottom line is I wasn't very nice to her. I mean, I was an okay guy. I wasn't cruel or anything like that necessarily. I was a nice guy.
He just broke my heart. He just broke my heart. That's all.
So, that wasn't nice.
But I mean, okay, that's high school, and you think about, okay, you got to just get over some of those things, and we kind of did. You dated someone for a long time.
We kind of do. We kind of get over them.
We kind of did get over them. I mean, at that time, yes. And so we ended up becoming very good friends.
Yes.
And part of that reason is because as a senior in high school, he did have a time where he committed his life to the Lord, which was wonderful. I mean, that was great. And there was a big difference. He was always very nice to people. And on the outside, I would say, yeah, he was a nice guy, but he changed from the inside out because that's what God does in our lives when we say yes to Jesus. So as a senior in high school, then he became a Christian, and we did not date at that point, but we were very good friends, and it was really fun just to hang out and go get pizza or something like that.
And it was a radical shift in my life to become a follower of Jesus Christ, a real follower of Jesus Christ, not just a guy who went to church and thought he was a follower, but actually become one, to let Jesus come into my heart and change my life. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he's a new creation. The old is gone and the new has come. So that was very evident in my life at that point in time as a senior in high school.
It really was. Yeah. I think I want to backtrack just a little bit because I had not met his parents yet.
No.
When we were dating, hit the 3-month record as a junior. Anyway, so we had gone out to the movies, I think, and I was wearing a skirt. And he brought me back to his house to meet his parents. And shall I just defer to you on how this went down? Let me just put it this way: don't be introduced like this ever, boys. Don't do this to your date.
One of my professors in college helped me understand what I did. He said, when you get embarrassed or when you get in a situation where you don't know what to do, he would say you revert to your socks. You go back to that which you know well. As a junior in high school, what I knew best was wrestling. And so we start walking in, I'm thinking, I need to introduce her to my parents. And so we're walking side by side, and I just slip my arm around her waist. And as we approach my folks, my dad's sitting over here in the living room, my mom over there, I reach over and I grab her hand and get her wrist, and then just do a hip toss. Boom! And she goes, lands flat on the floor, spread out.
In my dress, on my back, in the middle of the floor. In front of his parents.
Yeah.
Yes. How not to introduce your date to your parents.
Not my finest hour. Now my father was laughing.
Oh, he thought it was hilarious. Oh, your mother, who is dear, she was, anyway, love her.
Yeah.
Was mortified, as was I. Yes, I did not know what to do. I thought I can't believe that just happened, but it happened so fast. So I can show you how to do it now. I'm good at them now. I can show you how to do it, but it just took me totally by surprise.
So anyway,
But I loved him anyway. I know, it's crazy.
we can go back to the story. And so we went off.
Sorry. It's such a good story, honey.
It is a good
You have to
story.
tell it.
I'm glad. It's good. It's fun. I hope you're enjoying that.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Now, if you like this video, do the whole click the like thing and subscribe.
But don't do the hip toss.
No, don't do the hip toss. No hip tosses.
You don't have to like that part.
No. So we went off to college.
Mm-hmm.
We went various places. I went to Indiana State University on a wrestling scholarship, and very grateful for that.
Yeah.
I was the first person in my family to finish college. Anybody to finish college. So I was grateful for the wrestling scholarship that allowed me to be able to go and do that. Mm-hmm. So thankful. Mm-hmm. So while we were at college, we continued to maintain that friendship.
Right.
We would go home. I remember going to A&W root beer and having root beers together and just sitting and talking.
I went to IU. I was in the music school at Indiana University. Hoosiers. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I was at Terre Haute at Indiana State. So we continued to talk and just be friends. And I broke up with the girl I was dating with at that point in time. And as she said, she was, just...
I dated a few people. None of them were real serious. Just, that I had so many wonderful friends, but none of them just tooted my horn. Not like
no pun intended.
Not like he did.
Music school.
Oh, that was good, honey.
So anyway, we would get back together whenever I'd get back in town, and we go get a root beer or whatever and talk. And so I began to develop some affections for her. Now, we started dating. And there are a few pieces here. One of them is that she didn't know that I had made a pledge in my heart that I would never tell a girl again that I loved her until I was also ready to say, will you marry me? Now that may sound extreme, but for me, that's where I was. I wasn't going to put another girl through what I'd put Jennifer through and others. It wasn't going
or
to
what
do
you
it.
had been through. I mean,
right.
You had been hurt a time or two as
Absolutely.
well, hadn't you? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. It wasn't always me doing the harm.
I never did harm to him. Just say it. Well, I can't say that. Not during high school. Let me put it that way.
Anyway, so we started dating, and we dated while we were in college,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember we were getting pretty serious.
Yeah.
Pretty serious about each other. And we were at your house, your folks' house, in the driveway.
Uh-huh.
And
I remember this because I thought, okay, I'm just going to tell him I love him. I'd never had done that before either. So he's getting ready to leave, and I just said, I love you. And he said, you're crazy. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. I'm surprised he didn't hip toss me while I was at it. And I just thought, okay, well, not saying that again.
What can I say?
It's good that we can laugh about it now.
Yeah. Well, I'd made that pledge, and so
But I didn't know that.
I wasn't ready to say, will you marry me yet? Because that's what would have followed, or that's where I needed to be from my perspective. Again, not everybody has to be that way, but that's how I was. Got to that point. So I did. I said, oh, you're crazy. And we continued to date, for which I'm very grateful, given the situation.
We did break up. You broke up with me before you went back to school one year. That was the year that Star Wars came out. 1977. Can I tell them this story?
Sure.
Okay, well, so he takes me to see Star Wars during the summer before he went back to school, I think after our freshman year. Anyway, and it was great. It was wonderful. I loved it, and we still love it. But I did not know that he had already taken other girls to see this movie. How many times did you see it that summer, honey? Once. 4 times. Once with me. Okay, so I did not know that he had already done that. So, yeah. So we laugh about it now, but it was not funny at that time. And I remember after you and I got married, your mom told me, she goes, Jennifer, I felt so sorry for you because you were, you didn't know that Dave was taking out all these other girls. I said, no, I didn't, Vera. You're so sweet to tell me these things.
Yes.
But I have to tell you something on my family as well. They, you stick by your family. By golly, you don't hurt somebody who's in your family and get by with it. So After we had had a breakup, I think this was while we were in high school. There was this kind of stray, mangy dog that came around our house, and it wouldn't leave, and we kept feeding it. And my sisters and my brother, who were standing up for me, decided that they would call this mangy dog Dave because he had treated me so poorly. So we were kind of feeding this dog Dave, and of course my mom was a dear soul, and she would never say anything bad about anyone, but I knew it was bad when she went out to feed this stray dog and said, Dave, come here. Yeah, I did not tell him that story until after we were married. My sisters wanted me to tell him while we were engaged. I said, no, not telling him that story till after we're married. So you see, yeah. It's a miracle that we are married and that we have stayed married.
Yes, it is.
And I'm sure many of you can relate to that as well.
Mm-hmm. So, we're getting very serious. We are very serious.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, by this time. And it was our sophomore year in college. And again, we're getting closer and closer and closer, and as quote unquote secure as supposedly I was supposed to be in who I am, I asked her probably 50 different ways, will you marry me, before I actually asked her, will you marry me?
I was a little slow. I didn't even get it. I was going, oh yeah, kids would be fun one of these days, or yeah, I wouldn't mind living in this kind of house or anything like that. I had no clue.
Yeah. So I was leading up to, will you marry me? And obviously it took me a while to get to that point. But I asked.
I said yes. And we got married between our junior and senior year in college.
Yeah, right after our junior year in May
Right.
of our junior year, after our junior year of college, we got married. And fantastic, wonderful, just blessed to be married.
Well, and it's interesting because I was still at IU at the time, and I was in the School of Music, so it was very, very difficult to decide, okay, what are we going to do? We want to get married now. We don't want to wait till we're both done. And so I ended up transferring to Indiana State. I was in music education, and so I was able to transfer to Indiana State and finish up there. Did my student teaching in Terre Haute, and so it all worked out great. I actually got to come back to IU the summer after our senior year. I had one more class to take, and I was able to take it at IU with one of my favorite professors. And so that was a kind of a little bonus blessing to finish up there. But he was on wrestling scholarship and needed to stay there at Indiana State. So I don't regret it at all. I love IU. I consider still that's my alma mater, even though I graduated from Indiana State, which I love too. I got a great education there. But IU is it for me. So.
And that whole thing of getting married at the end of our junior year, that's a difficult piece. To be on scholarship and married and make all those transitions before you're out of school. So we had said, backing up just a little bit, well, we'll just wait 2 years. This because we got engaged at the end of our sophomore year. We'll just wait 2 years until we get married. Okay? That lasted for about a day.
Yeah, we said,
no, we're not going to wait that long. No. So then we said, okay, we'll wait 1 year, but we'll live halfway in between Bloomington and Terre Haute so that she can go to IU and I can go to Indiana State.
And I think we were going to do that. We were going to get married at Christmas of our senior year and then just commute for a half of a year that way. That didn't last very long either.
No, about another day we thought that through and we thought, no, we don't want to do that either. So then we said, let's just get married. Let's get married and live at Terre Haute and
married student
housing.
It was gross. We had fun, but we had little cockroach friends that would visit us regularly. I'd fry them on the burner every so often if they got a car. I'd turn it on and fry their little into little corpses, cockroach corpses. They popped. I didn't know that they popped.
Wouldn't trade it for the world.
No,
not a bit.
And honestly, there's a lot that has happened since then. So much so, and it is a miracle. Choices that we both made, even within our marriage. You work at it. You really work at it. And I am so thankful for a faithful God, a gracious God, a husband who we have chosen to work through things, some very, very difficult things, but we've chosen to work through them because that's what God wants. And that's really what we want. And so we paint this fun picture of our courtship and our marriage, and it is great. And we look back on it and laugh and smile and hope it brings joy to you. But it's the long term, and we've been married almost 41 years now.
Yeah.
And we are blessed. We are so richly blessed, and it is a miracle. We thank God for people who have mentored us along the way, who have literally counseled us along the way.
Yeah.
And just the times that we've had to grow together and make that time to make sure it still works.
Yep.
And I still love this guy so much, even more all the time.
And I love her too. So, okay,
Okay,
mushy. Well, hopefully you've found some value in this video. Maybe you relate to it. You know, you can put in the comments below, yes, my spouse and I went through this or that, or boy, that sounds familiar, or you people are crazy, or
sorry,
whatever else you would have put in the comments below. All would be appropriate, and we try to reply to each comment as it comes in. So that, and if you did find some value, perhaps just some humor, or something that's helpful to your life, please click the subscribe button as well, and ring that bell that's for notifications, and permit notifications to come into your mailbox. Well,
I really like these jackets. We haven't had them out of the closet in a while, and they're really nice. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to cut a few pounds to get closer to my college weight before I can be.
You don't need to be your college weight, honey. That was too small.
Yeah. Oh well. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this. May God bless you. We love you. We're grateful for you. And we just want to encourage you. There's so much good to be passed on.
Sure,
we just want to encourage you.
There sure is.
Tough it out.
Yep. Stay the course.
Tough it out. It's good. The marriage relationship is difficult sometimes. But it's also wonderful and fabulous and great.
It is.
So when you hit those tough times, work through it. If you need to get counseling, get counseling. Whatever it takes. Persevere. Never give up.
That's right.
Keep that fun attitude. Positive, humble, unbiased, and never give up.
Yeah.
Well, I'm Dave.
And I'm Jen. Thank you so much for watching. Lord bless you.
May it be so.